Hey guys, Gaming Off the Grid here. You already know we are obsessed with video games, and we like our beer. But in today's episode, we are going to focus on 5 things that we collect that are not video game related. What are we drinking today?
Today we're drinking Scaphism by Nightmare Brewing Company. It's an imperial stout brewed with milk sugar, honey, vanilla, and cacao.
And it's a really horrible way to die.
Yeah.
You know the drill. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring that bell icon so you never miss an upload. And sit back, relax, pour yourself a beer if you care to, and let's talk about the 5 things we collect that are not video game related.
Hey, Sean from the Nerd Lair here, and you're watching Gaming Off the Grid. Now go away.
One thing that I collect is vinyl records. I love music. I know we talk about it a lot on the channel, but I just love records. I started collecting records, I'd probably say 5 years ago, and my collection's getting out of control, but I love it. I even built these custom shelves for it so they fit perfectly. Dude, I just love laying on the couch, putting a record on, listening to it. I love being able to open a record and looking at the art, the inserts. I love colored vinyl. And it's just an experience, you know, when you put a vinyl on, you have to enjoy it. It's not like, you know, you're skipping and shuffling and all this stuff on Spotify, but you put an album on and you have to experience the way it was meant to be experienced. And I just love it. I love going to record shops and, you know, digging through the records and finding records. A lot of the records in my collection, you know, are obviously some of my favorite bands, but I found a lot of records just based on the cover. And I was like, oh, this is a cool cover. I don't know who this is. And I bought it, and I've been surprised that it's a good album. Some of the favorites in my collection, it's tough because I have probably over 100 vinyls so far. I'm just going to start at the beginning of the alphabet. I really love this Bad Flower one, and we actually played with them, and it was my first sold-out show, so that's very important to me. This Failure record is really sweet. It's such a good album, and the vinyl is awesome. Then over here, you got a bunch of Foo Fighters. I have almost their entire discography and some live concerts. It's so cool, but dude, their self-titled is freaking beautiful. It's such a good record. I got a bunch of Nirvana albums, which is awesome. A bunch of live stuff. Then I got, you know, some Panic! At the Disco. This album cover is really cool. This is kind of like a punk band. I just always have thought this cover is beautiful. It's Pup. Queens of the Stone Age is pretty cool. I got all 3 Tenacious D records plus a live album, which if you love Tenacious D, you're good in my book. 21 Pilots, Vacationer. Man, there's so many records. Like going through, I'm like, oh, I forgot about this one. I forgot about this one. So probably like 5 years ago when I got into record collecting, it was record store day. You know, that's a huge thing for music lovers. And I didn't have any vinyls. I didn't even have a record player. And I went out and bought this guy that I still use. It's awesome, old school. And I bought probably 25 to 30 records just in one day. And it was so cool. I just had a huge stack. I don't even remember what they were, but I got some Beatles. I got a bunch of like old stuff like this Monkees one, you know, just some classics because they were cheap. And it was just a great start to my collection, just buying a big bundle. And now, here we are.
Alright, another thing we collect might not come as much of a surprise if you pay attention to our B-roll shots on the channel. We like sneaking in our Hasbro wrestlers. I have been collecting these guys, and a lot of these guys have been with me since the early 90s. I distinctly remember my brother and I, we got Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty from the Rockers. I'm not going to pull them out of there because everybody's going to go haywire. I remember being pretty upset because my brother has blonde hair and I have brown. So guess who got stuck with Marty Jannetty? This guy. But ever since then, I loved these action figures. I think they're the best action figures that the WWF/WWE has ever released. Now, my collection, I don't get as crazy about as I do video games. So it's a pretty weak collection in the sense that, like, even my ring is the cheap new knockoff Mattel ring. I don't have my original Hasbro ring. And a lot of my wrestlers, they're in played with condition with the exception of this complete in box Honky Tonk Man. And this one holds a special place in my heart. This was a gift from Telesplash Gaming. He just sent it our way because he knew I was into Hasbro wrestlers. Some of my favorites, the Series 1 and Series 2 Macho Mans. I just think these are very awesome, detailed figures. If you're a fan of Macho Man in the era, I think they capture what he was doing really well. The cool part about the Series 2 Macho Man is one, I still got the crown and the scepter, which that's kind of hard to find. He's in pretty good condition. His knee pads are a little roughed up, but this is my original one from back in the day, but I did have to order the crown. I have the scepter and the Macho Man, but no crown. But a lot of kids have, I think it was Series 3, they re-released this figure and it looks exactly the same, but instead of saying Macho King on the tights, it says Macho Man, and he didn't come with the crown and all that stuff. So I really like that figure. And then obviously I've got Series 1 and 2 Warrior. I was a huge Ultimate Warrior fan, but another crown jewel of mine is the Razor Ramon, and this is the first edition they released. I lose track in this era. I want to say this was maybe Series 7 or 8. I think he had one come out in 10 as well that was all purple, but this is the red and black variant, and I'm lucky enough that I still have the chain. He's in pretty good condition, and he's oozing machismo because he's the bad guy. So I'm really happy with that. It's a pretty run-of-the-mill collection, nothing to be super excited about, but I'm really happy with it. And a couple other kickers that I have is I've got the 2 large talking wrestlers that they released. These are Hasbro as well. These are recent additions to the collection. Hogan still talks. Check out these 24-inch pythons, I believe he said. And then I'm working on a complete set of the Hasbro minis. I've got them, it's on the backdrop in the game room. I've got them lined up all across the Atari 2600 box. Problem is, I've got all the low-hanging fruit, which is the majority of the collection. There are 4 wrestlers, I believe, that came pre-packed in with the ring. Macho Man, Jake the Snake, Hulk Hogan, Big Boss Man. There may be more, but I know those 4 are in there, and you could only get them with the ring. They're $40 or $50 a pop. And these are just little tiny wrestlers, but they look really cool. We got our purple lighting and everything that pops up behind them. So it's one of those tone setters. Every time I walk in the game room, I'm just like, boom, let's go. Oh, and speaking of backdrop, we can't forget that we've got the Series 1 $1 Million Man and Jake the Snake Roberts in front of the autograph pictures. Those are back there because we actually have met those 2 guys in person as a channel. So those ones mean a lot to us as well. And I've had those figures for a long time. The $1 Million Man, I remember my grandma bought it one weekend before we went camping. And so every time I see that one, I'm like, man, I still have it. And thank you, Grandma. Anyways, another thing we collect is the Hasbro WWF action figures.
Collect, and most of you are probably gonna think, movies? Nope, they're ducks. I collect rubber ducks. What the duck? I love them. And you're like, why do you collect rubber ducks? Well, it's a long story. So when I was a young kid, my neighbor used to call me Rubber Ducky for some reason. I don't know why he started calling me that. So that nickname kind of stuck, you know, while I was growing up. And then in high school, I started a film company called Rubber Duck Productions. And ever since then, I've just loved ducks. And I freaking have them all over my apartment. They're all over the shelves. I got so many different types of ducks, small ones, big ones. In my kitchen is where most of them are, and they're just like lining the entire top of the cabinets. And then there's some in the bathroom, there's some in my bedroom. It's nuts. I'm running out of places to put them, but I want more. My collection's pretty big, but I have a few favorites. First off, this Batman one, really cool. Batman's my favorite superhero, so Batman the Duck. You better watch out, crime, he's coming for you. Then I got this really cool puzzle, 3D puzzle one. I love puzzles, and this was kind of hard to put together, but I got it. That one was really cool. Then I really liked this Abraham Lincoln one. I think my mom got this for me at Gettysburg, so it's just really funny looking. I wish he was wearing the top hat, but he's just holding it. Then I got this small guy. He has hair. I've always loved him. I don't remember where I got him, but it's just so funny that he has hair. Then I got a duck that's playing bass, since I'm a bass player. Oh, it says Chicago on the back. That's pretty cool. And then this one is kind of a duck, but it's also an octopus. And I thought this was kind of funny. So I put it with my ducks, and it kind of just blends in, and he tries to be a duck. They're just so cool, and I just like them. It's weird, but I collect them.
Another big thing that I collect, no pun intended, is CRT TVs. The retro gamer in me feels like I am sort of a historian in a way, and that I have to preserve what I feel is the best and most organic way to play retro games. My collection, obviously the 2 crown jewels here in the game room, are the wooden Zenith CRT. And then the Sony Vega. I like this one because it's HD ready, so it can actually play some of the modern consoles. And then we've got about 8 others down in my garage that vary from era to era, because what I like to do is play consoles on the best TV that was available during the era that it was out. So we've got like a wood grain Hitachi CRT TV. I don't really like playing anything else on it other than like Atari, NES, maybe Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis. But my Sony Trinitron down in the garage, man, I love rolling with some Xbox, some PS2 through component cables, some Dreamcast through some S-Video, because that was the best TV during that time frame. The GameCube looks great on it as well. It's a large thing to collect, but you know, it puzzles me. I live in a fairly small place, and I've got plenty of room, and I don't think CRT TVs are inconvenient. So I'm doing the doing, and I'm preserving gaming history and television history. I collect CRT TVs. All right, before we get into the 5th thing we collect, other than video games, we have a very special beer.
Yes.
We've been waiting to drink this beer for a while now. Nightmare Brewing's Scaphism, right?
Scaphism, which, if you don't know what that is, it is a terrible way to die.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. So, Scaphism is a way of death where a individual gets bolted in between 2 boats. So they're inverted, he's put inside, put together. They cut holes for his head and his arms. They cover him in milk and honey. And then they let nature take its course. Bees, wasps, etc. Milk and honey gives you the shits. You shit through a screen, basically. And you fill up the boats, and then the rodents come in. And it's a long, tedious process. It takes approximately 17 days to die, which is why they made this beer 17%.
Yes.
Alcohol by volume. And in the state we're in, this beer's illegal.
Yes, so
here we go.
Enjoy it.
This is going to be amazing. We have not tried this beer until right now. We were drinking other beers in the shots of this episode. So anyway, cheers.
Cheers.
To Scaphism.
Cheers to 17 days in a boat.
Holy cow.
Dude, I was expecting being 17% that this was going to be...
No.
This is fucking smooth.
Super smooth. That honey. This is like honey.
Oh my god. It
Yeah.
just warms me up.
Yeah.
Dude. I can taste the cacao, the chocolate, the elements. It's so smooth.
Yeah.
It's kind of velvety. Oh my goodness.
It's really, really, really good. The artwork on this can is amazing. The beer delivers. It's a little smoky on the finish. There's some smoky elements going on there.
I don't taste like the milk sugar.
It is sweeter though. There's some.
It is sweeter, but
I get like
the
more,
honey.
Yeah, I get a little bit. Wow, this is really good. This is a fantastic stout. We have had better stouts this year, but the surrounding circumstances of the stout make this mighty fine.
And this is the first beer we've ever had from Nightmare Brewing Company, which that's cool.
Which we recently got a little bit of an in on a source to get some of these brews. So yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, this one 17%. And I don't think I've ever had a stout that is that high on the scale as far as ABV goes. And this, you wouldn't know.
No,
you would not know.
It's a dangerously good beer.
This, you could get in trouble with this.
Yes, you could.
Yeah, very good. It's
Wow.
it's definitely a delicacy though. This is the type of beer you sit outside, you enjoy. There's a can here that's not open, right?
We're gonna save it.
We have one can amongst the both of us, right? This is, and we'll probably drink on this for an hour. You do not want to go crushing through these. You'll end up freaking on a gurney.
Yeah, you'll end up in a boat, actually.
Yeah. So, anyways, there's one last thing that we collect, and the reason we saved it for last is we started this together, really, as the channel started, because we were going out to all these garage sales, we were hunting for games and filling up these damn shelves, and it was like, whoa.
What's
Those are
other
cheap.
thing?
The other thing we collect is VHS tapes. It has become an obsession of ours. So our closet, so this is a really small game room, but we built some special shelving in the closet for our VHS collection. And it keeps us sane because we spend so much time editing that it's nice to be able to throw on an old movie, and what we'll do is we'll leave the movie in and we will literally listen to it because we're editing, but we're kind of watching. Literally for like 1 or 2 weeks at a time. So if you ever hear us talk about movies and you're like, how do they quote every line? Well, it's because we've heard it 100 times.
Yeah, we've heard it, and we're learning the movies, and it's so cool because we started a mini-series, Desert Island mini-series, where we talk about music, vinyls. We talk about video games, video game channel, and movies. And it's so cool because we go out and we find movies that like we talk about and we're like, we don't have that. Like Reservoir Dogs, you just picked that up on VHS, which was so cool. Dude, and what's crazy is there's some outlets in our area where you can get these bad boys for 10 cents.
Yeah.
You don't need Netflix or Hulu, baby. This is awesome.
It's crazy. We'll go in there literally and we will check out. And what we always do is we round up. So we'll go up to like $2 because with tax it ends up over $1. But essentially for $1 we get 10 movies.
10 movies.
Our closet is literally full of, I guarantee you, 80s, 90s, and early aughts kids would go through and be like, oh my god, oh my god,
that movie,
oh my god,
like
oh my
we
god.
have, and we can't stop. We keep buying them, we keep finding them. We're running out of room.
Even some stuff that, I don't know the pricing really so much is like, with video games, I know, like, oh my god, this is an expensive game. When you find Clockwork Orange in the wild for 10 cents, that seems like a big deal. Or E.T., this one's an old, the Nirvana Live Tonight sold out. Old one I had from when I was a kid. One side hustle that we have, we've only got like 5 of them, I think, 6 of them. We like these Coliseum home video wrestling tapes.
The big box.
The big box.
Yes.
So if you can see, there is a difference. They were made for really display. So there's like a tunnel. They run on the exterior of these boxes so they can make them bigger.
I remember we found one of them at PRGE.
Yeah.
And we had to get it back.
Cheap.
It was so cheap.
It was this one.
Yeah,
it was
we
this
had to
one.
get it back in our backpacks without damaging it.
Yeah.
We were like, oh, this is like a holy grail.
And you look at this, we got this, I think it was 10, I negotiated them down to 8. And there's some dings on this box, but a lot of these were in video stores.
Yeah.
So if you find one that's in relatively good shape, that's like really hard to do. And most of ours, I would say 7, 8 out of 10 probably on the quality scale.
And I just love it because it's old school, you got to rewind the tape.
Yep.
It makes a noise when you put it in. Like the process of putting a tape in, you guys remember that nostalgia?
Yeah.
And what I really love is the longer movies are double tapes. Like that's so cool.
Yeah, like Green Mile.
Green Mile, Saving Private Ryan.
Schindler's List.
Schindler's List. We love movies and they're always on.
Absolutely.
I mean, I have a huge DVD collection, but man, VHS it takes me back to when I was a kid.
Yeah, and the way we run it looks really good because, as we previously mentioned, we collect CRT TVs. So we're not seeing a huge downgrade in quality, really, in these films. There's something about popping one in, like you said. We've got a old school VHS rewinder.
Yes.
And we have the ability to watch VHS tapes all around my place. Down in the garage, we have a 13-inch TV VCR combo.
Yes, which is
put
awesome.
That to good use. We've got the VCR in here on my bedroom. I don't have Netflix, I don't have cable, I don't have any of that because I want to become an expert in everything I watch, so I watch it over and over and over again. So.
Just on repeat, dude. Movies was my first obsession.
Yeah.
And
well, it's fun because it gives us that, like, when we're out game hunting, we've got a couple other outside things, like multiple times you've been like, dude, there's wrestlers over here.
Yeah, wrestlers.
Or I've been like, bro, there's a crate of vinyl. It would be, dude,
VHS
movies.
tapes.
Yeah.
TVs. And it's so crazy. Yeah, we find all the stuff that we collect in the wild while we're game hunting.
Yeah.
So I feel like that helps
if you
spice it up too.
For us, if we were only going out, I think about that hunt that we had last year when we had Newland with us and Hogan and all that. We literally started at 7 or 7:30 in the morning, and it wasn't until like 10 a.m. where we actually hit.
Yeah.
There's 3 hours, probably 20 sales we hit where there were no video games. But when you have other stuff to keep you going along the way, it makes it fun. For the folks that tune in all the time, you maybe could have predicted some of these, but these are the things we collect outside of the video game hustle.
Yes, let us know in the comments below, what do you guys collect besides video games? I would love to know. And if you collect some of the things that we collect, let's talk about it, please.
Yes, it's a great time. We always appreciate you guys tuning in and subscribing to the channel. This beer, I'm so glad we saved it for this episode. Cheers, everybody. We'll see you next time right here on Gaming Off the Grid. So what are we drinking today?
Today we're drinking Scaphism by Nightmare Brewing Company. It's an Imperial Stout brewed with milk, sugar, honey, vanilla, and cacao.
As a retro gamer, I feel it is my job, or part of my... No, hang on. Hey guys, Gaming Off the Grid here. You already know we're all about beer. No.
Should I get a beer real quick?
But in today's episode, we're going to pull back the curtain and reveal... Oh, fuck my What are we drinking
today? We're drinking Scaphism by Nightmare Brewing Company. It's an Imperial Stout brewed with honey, cacao, vanilla, milk, sugar. Said it in the wrong order and it messed me up.